How's it going, everyone? Today I'm finally doing the video that everyone's been asking me to do because these are normally quite difficult to do. What are the games that I would fully recommend wholeheartedly that you must buy? Okay, and that's what this list is all about. And some of these games obviously do get updates. Only take this as either the gameplay video I last did. There is probably 3 or 4 games I've not made a video on, and probably 2 of them I haven't played on PSVR2. I played them on other systems. One of them, for example, Tales of Onagara, I'm going to grab quickly. Might as well start with that one. I did fully complete it, and I was going to do a playthrough video as well because it's actually a really good puzzle game. I very much enjoyed it, but I never got around to making a video on it. Maybe, hopefully soon, I will go back and revisit it on PSVR2, but I'm going to put that in the very good section. It's an excellent anime cel-shaded puzzler. It's got boss fights, and it genuinely had me scratching my head quite often. But all the rest of the games, most of the games, you can just type in the name of the game in Game Tag VR, and there'll be some sort of walkthrough, playthrough, or review. Next up, I'm going to pick Red Matter 2. Red Matter 2 proves to me that PlayStation VR2 can achieve what I would call high-end PSVR graphics. It's a truly fantastic game as well. It's a really great game. Might be a little bit slow paced for some people. It runs at 120 frames native. I'll tell you why as well Red Matter 2 is really good. It's because out of most of these games that look good, there's some sort of possible nausea that someone could get from experiencing these games. That won't happen in Red Matter 2. Put someone in Red Matter 2 and say, look at the graphics, look at the fidelity, what the PSVR2 can do. So Red Matter 2's there as like a kind of visual benchmark. Next up, I'm going to pick the Light Brigade, a fantastic VR roguelike. It's got a fantastic art style, sounds beautiful, great music, and it also does guarantee that pretty much every time you play it, it's very different due to the amount of unlocks and power-ups that you put on your guns and stuff. There's like 5 classes in the game as well. I'd put that in the very good section. Now, Switchback for me is a complicated one because when I reviewed it, I might have given it a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Too many points in that game where you're not doing anything. You know, you're just sitting there waiting around. It is a very different game to Rush of Blood, but also some of it is in the same vein. So I'm going to put Switchback currently in okay, but I fully expect when the new patch comes out, I might bump it up to very good. So next up, I'm going to go for Galaxy Kart. Now, Galaxy Karts technically wasn't a very bad game. It was the fact there was only 4 tracks and it had like a weird locked system behind, like you had to do every track every time to progress. Sometimes it felt clunky and there was no challenge. I don't know what it's like now, but the way it was bad. And I'm not sure the developers are probably behind it, making it better. I don't know, I've not heard from them, but at the moment, or as it was, Galaxy Kart is one you should avoid. Now, Humanity, it's actually a very good game, but I don't think it does anything in VR. When it comes to virtual reality, for me, there's got to be a reason to be in there. And I much preferred playing Humanity, just chilling on the couch. Putting the headset on to play this just wasn't that important. So it's a good game, but I don't think it's a good VR game, so I'm going to put that in okay. I'm sure some people have got something to say. Let me know. Let me have it down in the comments. It's all good. I loved First Fantavision on PS2. I don't think it ever comes to PSVR. I'm already heading to not great. And the reason it's not great is because it's a very simplistic style of game to get combos. And the weird thing about this game is there's like a screen in a screen. And where the screen in a screen is, that's where the VR portion of the game is. And it just doesn't look very good, unfortunately. I would say it's quite a nice chill game, but I believe that it was quite overpriced. That's going to go in the not great section. Next up, we got Awesome Asteroids. This game is a budget indie game, and it's actually really good fun. It's got like a minigun in it that you use your eyes to shoot things with. It's really quite cool. I'm going to put Awesome Asteroids in okay. If you've got $6 or $5, whatever it is, lounging around, you're looking for a bit of a fun sci-fi shooter, I think Awesome Asteroids is good. Beat Saber recently came to PSVR2. I think it needed an update pretty rapidly. There was something wrong with the positioning of the lightsabers. But dude, I haven't played Beat Saber for a long time. There is so much content, and it is the world's most popular VR game. And it's a game that anyone can have fun playing, but it's hard to master, and that's the magic of Beat Saber. You know, anyone can play it, but not everyone can be good at it. Next, we have Thumper, which was one of the first games I ever picked up on my original PSVR. I remember reading like an article magazine about the launch games, and because I didn't have any YouTube channels to watch, and Thumper was like, oh, this game's not expensive, it looks pretty cool, and I pretty much bought every launch game. And Thumper held me in the headset far longer than I expected, and back then I had games like Batman to check out and stuff, and there's me playing this crazy, almost nightmarish musical game, which really hooks you in, because this game is all about like fast inputs for muscle memory and stuff, but it's visually stunning. And once again, it comes to PSVR2 and re-delivers that all over again. I'm gonna stick it in very good. Right, next up is, I would say, a no-brainer purchase really, especially if you just want to experience how good PSVR2 is. Resident Evil Village is a free VR mode. I would recommend checking out the PSN store for sales. This game is regularly on sale. The gold edition is anyway as well, which means you get all the DLC and stuff. This is a fantastic Resident Evil experience, but it's more on the action side. So a lot of you might be avoiding Resident Evil Village because it's a horror game. And it is a horror game, but it's not like Resident Evil 7. Yeah, Resident Evil 7 is much scarier, and I really hope that comes to PSVR 2. But again, another standout game on the system is definitely Resident Evil Village. Now, Tetris Effect caught me by surprise on PSVR 2. I've played tons of Tetris on PSVR, I've played it tons on Quest, and then when it comes to PSVR 2, something happened I didn't expect, and I fell back in love with it all over again because of headset haptics and eye tracking. And I know some people think it's expensive because it's just Tetris, but if you're someone who can really give yourself to a game, like washed away with a soundtrack, and you love Tetris, get Tetris Effect. It's a fantastic experience, honestly. When I reviewed The Last Worker, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't really enjoy the experience. It's got a nice graphical art style. I can't remember the exact details of the problems I had with it. All I know is I don't recommend it. It's not bad by any means, and maybe there's some people out there who might enjoy it. Please check out my review, Gamertag VR, The Last Worker, but I'm going to put that in the not great section. Next up is Afterlife VR, and it kind of signified for me, as well as Galaxy Carts, that PSVR 2 is going to get a lot of content. It doesn't mean it's always good content. We are getting actually a lot of indie Steam VR games on PlayStation VR 2, and Afterlife VR should, I guess, in some way be a bad game, but it's actually not. I don't think it's very long. It's not going to wow you, but it's definitely got some good jump scares, and it does deliver a good atmosphere, and I don't think it's expensive. So I'm going to put it in the okay. I had quite a good time with this. Like, this is an easy 5-6 out of 10 game. Next up, we've got Moss Book 1 and 2, both fantastic games. I'm sure you can buy them as a bundle. Quill, the main character of the game, like the mouse, is absolutely adorable. You're going to really feel protective of her. It's got a great story. It's told in a fantastically enchanting way. Combat isn't exactly strategic. It's not hard. There are some puzzles, but again, this game isn't necessarily that challenging. It's just a really good experience in VR. So I'm going to put Moss in very good. Now, when Zombieland came to PSVR 2, I didn't expect the graphical update that XR Games have given it. This looks fantastic on PSVR 2. Amazing cell shading, arcade experience. I don't know why people don't recommend this game enough. Personally, I absolutely love it. I almost want to put it in the must buy because it's been one of my favorite games. I've got times on this leaderboard that none of you will probably beat. It's brilliant. If you're a fan of like Time Crisis and arcade shooters, check out Zombieland. It's really good. Now, Song in the Smoke might come as some surprise that I'm going to put it in the okay section. I like Song in the Smoke, or at least I've tried to like it. It doesn't do anything wrong, but for some reason, I don't find myself compelled to constantly play it. Hence, I've never completed it, and I've never reviewed it. And in the end, I kind of turn it off for a reason, and I don't go back to it. And I can't really figure out why. There's something not calling me to finish it, and I don't know what it is, but I'm going to put it in the okay section, because I said, I think it's a me problem. I don't think the game does anything wrong. It's actually a really high quality game. Next up, we've got the curse of PSVR, No Man's Sky, because to have a game like No Man's Sky on a console in VR is incredible. The idea of that sort of game being in VR to some is like a dream come true. Unfortunately, it was always kind of ignored and had shade thrown on it because it looked blurry, and it did look blurry. It looked like you put Vaseline in your eyes playing it. And on PSVR 2, it looks good enough. Definitely good enough. And it definitely looks better than what it did on PSVR. I'm going to put that in very good. I've had a really good time with this game on PSVR 2, and I hope you do too. If you do play No Man's Sky on PSVR 2, let people know down in the comments. Next up, we've got Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, the Enhanced Edition, and it truly is the Enhanced Edition. I actually jumped into this game because I've completed it on the Quest. It came in 2 parts. Obviously, you get it all in 1 part on PSVR 2. And I came into the game not thinking that I was going to complete it. I was just going to basically do like a first impressions of the enhancements, but I played it all the way through, dude. This is the premium way of playing this game, and I highly recommend it. A couple of days ago, I streamed Cosmodread, and I completed it in under 3 hours, which I never expected. Now, if I was completely honest with my full gameplay, I did 40 minutes prior to that for a video just to show that Cosmodread was coming to PSVR 2, so under 4 hours. It's a fantastic game. It's procedurally generated. It's a real roll of the dice. You get a different weapon when you start unless you unlock certain blueprints, and there's things like body armor, invisibility, a briefcase to hold more stuff. Like, inventory management is a real massive part of this game, and I love it for it. It's very stressful. You also feel isolated on this spaceship, which is constantly being eaten by like this corruption on the ship. I'm not saying visually it's a fantastic game, but the gameplay is really good. So I'm going to put Cosmodread, for the price, because it is not expensive, I'm going to put it in the must buy. Cities VR is kind of like a bit of a marmite, I guess, for some people. Some players just aren't interested in a city builder, you know, but if you are, I think Cities VR does a really good job of giving you a simulator. You're not going to get some of the things like SimCities where destruction happens and random cataclysmic events, but there is like a first person mode, and you can actually genuinely go on the streets and watch your city thrive. It's really quite cool. So I'm going to put Cities VR in the very good section. Another Fisherman's Tale comes along and improves on the original in every way, but I'm not sure if that's the case about the story. I enjoyed the original story a lot. It really pulled me in, and I loved the ending. Was amazing. The way they use certain mechanics in this, where, for example, your head could be at one part of the game and you've got to use your hand to crawl to another part of your body and stuff. It's just amazing. It's just a really, really amazing game, and it's the sort of game that cannot be done outside of VR. Next up, if you're looking for a real fun calorie burner, Creed is definitely that game. It looks fantastic, and I burnt 718 calories playing this game for around an hour. I completed it on PSVR2. It's a really good boxing game. I don't know if it's got a lot of replayability, because unless you want to check out multiplayer and stuff. For me, once I'd done the campaign, I kind of walked away. But it was a great experience, and as I said, it's got multiplayer, so I'm going to put Creed in the very good section. Now, one of the most known games in VR is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. It was the first game where you could stab a zombie in the head and genuinely feel like you had to push that knife in their skulls. As disgusting as it sounds, that is what made it amazing. Got really nice graphics. It's kind of along the lines of the comic books more than the TV show, but it's, for me personally, this is one of the best zombie games, period. Not just the VR. It's a great zombie game, and I'm going to put that in the very good, but I'm going to put the second one also in the very good. I actually think Retribution is the better game, and I think graphically on PSVR2 it's brilliant. It's actually the best version. Oh, I might put it in the must buy. That's difficult. I prefer the story of the second one. Oh no, I'm stuck. I'm going to put it in must buy. Okay, we've worked through this list pretty well. I'm quite happy with what I'm looking at. I need to have a quick look back. I'm gutted about Switchback. That really does break my heart, because it is a good game. It is a good game, but I hope the patch pushes it into the very good section. Humanity is what it is. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with this list. I mean, basically what we're looking at here, the must buys, but they're very good, to definitely for consideration for purchase. Next up, we're going to grab Demeo. If you've ever wanted to do Dungeons and Dragons, Demeo is your game. This is a board game in VR. There's also a Heroes Hangout where you can like paint characters from the game. But there's an actual arcade game in there, like Gauntlet. I think it was designed by the guy who made the original Gauntlet. It's a really cool game, really well thought out, lots of DLC. I think Demeo is a must-buy game. Now, currently on PSVR2, the best first-person shooter is one of the oldest first-person shooters in VR, and that is Pavlov. It's going in the must-buy because simply there's nothing else doing what that game does. The guns are very realistic feeling, the graphics are incredible. It needs an update though, like it does need an update, and I'm pretty sure one is coming soon because the crossplay isn't working currently, which could be an incredible feature to bring so many more players in. But as it currently stands, it's got a fantastic zombie mode, gun game. There's a game where like two people become the predator, you go invisible, slicing people up. It's a fantastic game, and I think it's best experience on PSVR 2. Next up is Rezzed. I remember experiencing Rezzed back in the day on Dreamcast. I think visually back then it was quite stunning. And to be fair, if you played it on a flat screen, you might not think so. But if you play it in VR, it looks incredible all over again. And it uses eye tracking to do some of the targeting, which basically revitalizes the whole experience. So I'm going to put Rezzed in the okay. I don't think everyone needs to buy it, okay? I just don't think it's one of those games that everyone's going to look at and go, oh yeah, I need to buy that game. But it's a very good game, and I hope this curiosity leads you to looking up some videos online. Now, Hello Neighbor VR is quite a glitchy mess, but I've had a really good time with it. I think the puzzling element of this really clicked with me. It genuinely felt like a Goonies experience. You got all these different kids with different abilities trying to basically outsmart this neighbor and save your friend. I think Hello Neighbor is a good game. I haven't finished it yet. I was kind of waiting for an update for a couple of things, but as my first impressions go, and I think I spent 3 or 4 hours in it, it's actually a good game. So I'm going to put it in the okay section for now. I've kind of left some no-brainers at the bottom without knowing it. Horizon for me is still visually breathtaking on PSVR2. They did do some updates, and I think they fixed the smooth turning, which was an issue for a lot of people. But Horizon is a fantastic PSVR2 flagship title. It has eye tracking targeting on it. Turn it off. I think the game is so much better if you actually learn to use that bow and arrow with skill. You'll get more out of the game as well. But Horizon is definitely a must buy. As is the next game, Gran Turismo. End of the day, that game has caused so many people to go out and buy steering wheels and pedals, and rightly so. In my mind, Gran Turismo is one of the best driving experiences you can have in VR. And the best thing about it on PSVR2 as well is that you've got amazing visuals, but the setup's so easy. Like if you play a driving game on PC, there's just so many things to sort out and set up. When it comes to Gran Turismo, it's just plug and play. It's just amazing. And you're greeted with fantastic visuals, obviously an amazing soundtrack. Gran Turismo is a no-brainer. Okay, Run It is a game I've never featured on the channel, but I've actually played it quite a lot. I'm a B Haptics ambassador, and I recently jumped back in again to check out the haptics of this game. Got a great art style, but it's kind of just a shooter, but it looks brilliant. If you've ever been into like manga or anime, the bike itself you can like customize. It feels like you're in an anime game, but unfortunately it's just a shooter, and it never kind of gets away from that. It stays that way for the whole thing. It's proud of that fact. So I just don't think it will appeal to a mass audience. So I'm going to put it in okay, but definitely check out some videos. Next up we have After the Fall, which I've actually never covered on PSVR2. I have played it, but I've played it on PC, played it on Quest. Was one of my favourite games. I haven't played it for a long time. They did do a lot of work on it. There's a few bits of DLC. You go out in a group, hopefully, which is the best way to experience it. And the idea is you to unlock new gear and different ranks of gear as well, like elite gear or epic gear. If you're looking for a game to play with friends, it's kind of a zombie shooter. At least this will cover you until Arizona Sunshine 2. I think After the Fall is in the very good category, and you should be checking it out. And last but not least is Kayak VR Mirage. This is a stunning looking game, but a lot of people will say to you it's not a game. I actually think it is a game. I know it's an experience, but I think it is a game. You go out, you look for stuff, there's things to unlock, there's races to do online as well. So personally, I want to put Kayak VR Mirage in the very good section. And looking at this list, I need to have one last look to make sure if there's anything I would change. No, I think I'm happy. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with this list. There's 11 must-buys, there's 12 very goods. In total, those games there is a fantastic content library. It really is, and I really hope to add Switch back to that list, because Rush of Blood for me was such a great game, and there is moments of it. The visuals kind of let it down a little bit. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, leaving any likes, and I'll see you on the next video.